Hi, Momtaz. Thank you so much for being here today.
I am really excited to speak to you, Pooja, and also to be part of your video series. So very, very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I couldn't do this show about color without seeing color. And I purposely wore a white t-shirt today so that I do not take away from the screen. The whole focus is on you and your fabulosity right there.
I
So
do
thank
like the
you.
contrast. It's a good contrast, actually. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's that whole like this is beige living. This is not. I love it. Thank you. So I have just done your intro, and the last time we saw each other, we were getting off a plane from Hawaii, weren't we?
Ah, what an extraordinary trip that was. I
I
think
know.
Hawaii is one of those places that in a lifetime does somebody actually get to go to because it's just such it's such a special place.
Mhm.
And I think the fact we've both been able to go there to this really unique place of islands, it's amazing. It's definitely a bit of a lifetime bucket list thing.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, you were snorkeling in the Molokai crater in the open sea, which you'd never done before. Like it was such an incredible experience. And obviously at that time, I was introduced to the world of color from you because I can't even remember what color your hair was. Was it blue when you were in Hawaii?
Been in the pink tinges. I mean, I used to change my hair a lot, literally. With the seasons, my hair would change. I'd say in the last couple of years, it sort of stabilized a bit more to the kind of all over rainbow, but
Yeah.
it very much used to be how my feeling and my hair color would reflect that.
I love it. So, since that trip, a lot has happened in your life. And I would love it if you would just tell the listeners just a little bit about your journey from, without, I can't even avoid the pun, from black and white to color,
Oh,
essentially.
wow. I love that. Well, I'd always, since I was a child, wanted to be a writer. So I was the kind of child that wrote for the school newspaper, college magazine, university newspaper, like everything I get my hands on, I would be writing. I set up my own zine. I just, write my diaries when I was really small. I've still got my diaries when I was 7. So I wanted to always be sort of in communication, I guess, and tell
Mhm.
stories and interview people, and it was really cool. And so as a teenager, I ended up doing sort of like a Saturday club, which was like a journalism Saturday club. And I guess my path was always leading towards being a writer. And so I went to university. I came out of uni, did my postgrad in journalism, and went into a journalism job. So it was very kind of structured.
Mm.
But color has always just been me. So there wasn't a time where I became colorful overnight. I was literally just always colorful. So
Born in color.
absolutely. So
Love
just
it.
it's very colourful journalists doing their thing, and had a really satisfying career as a journalist for at least 15 years. And I absolutely loved it because that was exactly what I wanted to do. And it was very much like I'd followed that journey. How can I do this job? Or I can get work experience, or
Mm.
I can get more work experience. I can start writing, start publishing. And so that was a really wonderful journey. But it is a very intense lifestyle. It's very long hours. It's never a 9 to 5, and it's not 5 days a week either. It's 7 days a week
Mm.
because there's always something, and there's always something to be done. And actually, what happened was I developed quite a bad RSI because I was always on my computer. So you've got all the fun stuff like trips abroad and interviewing amazing people and getting passes to amazing events. But when you're not doing that, you're literally sat there typing, as you do in a lot of office-based, computer-based jobs. And it got to the
Mm.
point where just that was really affecting my health. And I knew I cannot go on just being a laptop every day.
Mhm.
Got to find something more practical. And so I was looking about, well, what else could I do? What do I love? And when I first sort of graduated and got my first postgraduate job, it was actually at BBC Children's Magazines, and I used to design all the arts and crafts projects. So all your Bob the Builder, Tweenies, Teletubbies, all those magazines with preschool titles, and I used to design the craft projects for those.
Wow.
So for me, that was something that, and then after that, I went on to adult magazines and ended up working in a wedding magazine for a lot of my career, but also like other sort of like adult titles, like women's lifestyle and things. But I knew that craft element was there. So I actually started running crafts workshops, arts and crafts workshops on the side a little
Mhm.
bit. And then I sort of moved more into that. And And it just came to a point where I needed to get away from journalism. I'd done it and I loved it, and I didn't want to leave it in a way where it became a chore. I've got to step away from this and leave on happy terms. And so that's kind of led me into being working in the world of craft quite a lot, actually. So I used to design projects for craft magazines, do books and things, do live craft demonstrations, run workshops. And that was super, but it became quite saturated. There's actually a lot of craft designer makers.
Really?
Yeah, there's so many now. And so in a way, when I actually set up a London craft night, it was called the Makerscape. It was like an evening event for adults, and it ran for I think 8 years. And this was like a monthly event after work in the evenings, where it's like you want to meet up with friends or you want to go for a drink, but you don't necessarily want to go to the pub. So it was like an event where you could come along, still have your drink, have some music, but do craft activities and workshops. So I was doing that, but at a time when there wasn't that many. But then as it grew on, there was craft workshops every day of the week, everywhere. It's just too many now. And one of the reasons I did it was I wanted to make crafts more accessible. Then it did become accessible. So then I was like, oh, I don't need to do that anymore. And I kind of lost a bit of enthusiasm for it. And I just started to think, like, I make so many people happy through my colours. It was like, it was such a normal part of my life. Like, and it's funny because I don't see myself. So I have this colourful hair, but I only see it when I brush my teeth or do my makeup. Like, I'm not walking around and I can't see it. And I don't, I can look down and see my fingernails, but I'm not really seeing my colour. But other people always constantly see my colour and they always compliment me. Now, I get, daily compliments, and I tend to write them down as well. So just like, and I just knew, hang on, I'm giving something to people. I'm uplifting them. I'm making them happy. This is a positive thing. And it just kind of struck me, hang on, is there something more to this? Like, I'm just being me, but could I turn this into more than compliments and more than a compliment receiver? What could I actually give back? That was just a bit like, it's great and it's making me happy, but I did actually feel I'm getting more compliments than the average person. And I'm getting all the benefits of that, because we all know that a compliment really makes somebody's day. It makes you feel so good when someone stops you and says, oh, you look great, or your hair looks great, or oh, you look wonderful. And if you're fed that every day, you literally are uplifted the whole time. And I just thought, all this uplifting energy, I have to do something with it, and I have to give it back to those people who are giving it, for telling me that I'm helping them. So that's where this idea came about of, actually, I'm gonna become a color expert, and rather than just being a walking sort of rainbow, I want to share my philosophies. I want to be able to inspire people and encourage people to enjoy and welcome colour into their life. And for me, that's now my purpose. I literally am just on a mission to inspire others to be colourful.
Oh, I just love that. I'm just blown away by that. There is just so much joy. I mean, I feel that joy when I just, perusing your Instagram feed. It's just, when you just look at your grid, it's so enjoyable, and every picture draws you in to, what's this about? What's this about? And it is the joyfulness of all that color. And it feels so fulfilling. Even when we switched to Zoom on, and I said, bring the color, like it was such a stupid comment to make. Obviously we're going to bring the color, but like, to see it, like it just, and the beige, the beige that I did on purpose. My kitchen is beige, my t-shirt, because I want people to feel and resonate with, the effect, the energy that you get from the color. And I love that you are, I love the walking rainbow to a color expert. That's brilliant. But being a color expert, so you have recently released is it your debut book?
It's actually my third book. So I did actually write 2 craft books when I was working the craft world. I ended up writing 2 craft books, but it's a bit of a break because my last book came out in 2012. So it's like, 10 years ago.
God, yeah.
The new one is called Hello Rainbow, Finding Happiness in Colour. So literally is all about ways you can, I'm not going to say improve because I don't want to make assumptions, but ways that you can actually just, encourage more colour to make your life just more exciting. And it's literally about my philosophies and how I actually approach my life through colour.
Mhm.
And I've kind of condensed that into my philosophy, which I call Hello Hue, which is literally hello colour. And it is a 7-point manifesto for how you can welcome colour into your life, into different areas. I do sort of approach it as a lifestyle thing. So, for some people, colourful means having a colourful home, or it means wearing colourful clothing. But there's so much more to colour. It's not necessarily those two things. In fact, you don't need to do either of those two things to still live a very colourful life and be a colourful person. So actually, that's
Mm.
for on another level of sort of daily ways to incorporate colour and taking colourful approach to life. And I find that color helps all my decision making. Like, I think of any decision I'm making, it actually has this natural connection to color. It's so bizarre. There's so much that we take for granted in life where color is actually an influence.
Give me an example of what you're talking
Color
about.
could literally be like you making your tea or coffee in the morning, or someone making it for you, and you thinking, "Oh, it's a bit dark," or "It's a bit light. I haven't got enough milk in," or "It's got like too much milk in."
Mm.
It's literally like, are you going to drink it? Because you might suddenly be like, nah, I don't want it. Or you might open your curtains in the morning and it's a bit grey.
Mm.
And how that grey sky and how a blue sky day, so the next day is a blue sky, one day's a grey sky, one day's a blue sky, you're probably going to wake up and just have completely different feelings about the day.
Mm.
Because that blue sky, that blue, that powerful, colourful energy of the blue sky is most likely to uplift you a bit more. It's going to inspire you to get out of bed a bit more, because all the connotations and all the energies of blue is actually going to uplift you more. But grey has very calming properties. We see it in a lot of spas.
Mm.
Very, has its tranquility and nice aspects, but it can also be quite oppressive. So if you see a grey sky, it can just make you feel a little bit more down. And so those little interactions with color first thing in the morning can really just actually, affect how you're going to feel the rest of the day. But it can go on to things like you're buying a sandwich at lunchtime and deciding about what am I going to have and what looks appealing.
Mm.
Food and color is so connected. It really makes a difference if something's burnt again, or if it's actually looking fresh and the green on top is not wilted, but it looks sort of
Mm.
vibrant and lovely. So
Yeah.
it's just there, and these are such normal things.
It's amazing how, yes, what you're saying is so normal and we experience them, all day, every day, but we
Yeah.
don't necessarily pay attention to them, apart from when we decide we're going to wear black only because we've put on a couple of extra pounds, and then we choose to only wear black. And then that brings down our mood, as we know, because it's such a bold color. But at the same time, black can be a really powerful color. It can be a very strong, assertive, confident color. I'm sorry, I'm taking up your space now.
No, but for
But
sure. And it's interesting because the thing with black is it's all about how you mix it up as well. So if you think of like black and red, I mean,
mm,
it's such, if you're wearing like a black suit and you've got a red lipstick, it's a whole different energy you're going
yeah.
to give off. That thing about you've got one color, but when you get two colors together, then when they sing and they create this new thing. And so I love that idea of the blacks, the whites, the greys, and the navies, the colors that are slightly more neutral, but when they're paired with one of the vibrant family colors, you just
Mm.
get this incredible effects.
That's amazing. I mean, without giving away, all the tips and tricks from your book, when people are sort of, generally when people come to me, like clients and things, those that listen to the podcast, there's a little bit of clarity they're looking for. Life feels a little bit murky. They want some direction, focus even. What kind of colors would inspire, I guess, being inquisitive, about what I want from my life, or what I want to be doing with my work? What's the next direction? What sort of colors would work with that kind of thinking? And then I guess what kind of colors would work in an environment where you really need focus and you want to be sort of, zoned in, you're writing a piece or something, or a pitch, and you want to be zoned in? What would work best for them?
So in terms of the kind of clarity and trying to get sort of ideas and the openness, so blue is the key color of communication. It links with the throat chakra, which is blue, and having a blue can really help you open up your thinking. And things that are kind of recommended are, for example, if you're writing something with a pen, you know, using a blue pen, like using a blue biro, can actually help. You know, having the blue words on the page can literally help you just sort of like see your words more clearly or get things out of you. And so if you are experiencing kind of any form of blockage or any kind of like you really want to just open up your mind a bit more, and then blue is this really like calming color, and it can be going outside and looking at the sky. If you're close to the sea, it's going to have a look at water. All of these things really help us actually just clear up, and once your head is clear, that's when you can start to focus. If you're trying to generate some ideas and you're a bit sort of stuck, then orange is the key color for creativity. So any form of creativity is useful in most scenarios, like thinking about something, whether it is making a plan, if you're about to run a workshop, if you want to pitch to somebody, there's something you want to do, a bit of creative thinking can really help. So orange is a brilliant color to actually have access to. And we're talking about drinking a glass of orange juice, having like potentially having like, you know, maybe an orange tablecloth, having an orange light, having some sort of orange around you at all times can really kind of help you with that as well.
I think that's a really important point that you've just made about, sorry to interrupt, but the orange juice, the tablecloth. I think when we think in terms of, I need more color in my life, right? We're always so extreme and we're always so big, broad, grand, general statement. I need more color in my life. And we think I need a wallpaper and I need a tablecloth. And then I'm going to need my furniture. My furniture's got to match this. And then my clothes, oh, it's too much clothes. But actually, we're not talking about big, massive shifts. We're talking about the simple things. I have absolutely no color right now on my in my space, and that's not for any particular reason. It's literally just because I'm doing podcasts today, so it's focused. So I don't want distractions on here. But I've got orange velvet dining table chair.
Nice.
And I love to work on my dining table. I have a desk, but I never work at it. I like working at my dining table.
Yeah, I mean,
And I should point it to you.
Vibe, but you know, I love tablecloths for that very purpose, because tablecloths are one of those things you can literally change them every day if you want to. It's literally just whipping off the table, whipping off. So you can really change the atmosphere of your home, the look of your home, the feel of your home, simply by changing your tablecloth. Similar with cushions, you know, rotating them around. You don't, if you've got like green cushions in your living room, you could change them to red every now and then, and it would literally like change the vibe of the space. And these are simple changes. They're not permanent, they're temporary things that you can do, and it means that you can go through different seasons or different feelings, and sort of incorporate these changes, and at any point you can strip back to having more of a neutral look if you want to.
Yeah, when you're looking for that sort of calm and collectedness, I can see the benefit of that, because I'm relating this to like my retreats, for instance. I'm very conscious of having them in quiet areas, ideally private. There should be, you know, mountains or the sea or something very, very bold in terms of nature around us, because when we're coming from a city, we don't necessarily have that expanse of space so much, and creating that space is a metaphor for creating space within ourselves. And I do find it fascinating how much we appreciate being out in nature, and regarding the flowers and regarding the trees. You know, these are things that we couldn't easily do on a walk, you know, on a lunch break. But when people are in that retreat, they're in the zone, and then they really do appreciate everything around them. And it's like, that's it. That's all we're talking about. Just taking the minutiae, if you like, of life, and just replicating that when you get home. And like you say, having just a glass of orange juice is enough to help lift creativity when you're feeling stuck. I think it's superb, because we do get to this, you know, overly complicated life. You know, I'm all about simplicity, but you know, coming from my corporate world, I'm much more about simplicity now and keeping it simple. And just by doing those little things, I've just seen something that my son's put on the where is it?
Oh,
It's a little, yeah, exactly. It's a little chick with the orange like thing. So as you were talking about having something orange in your space, literally the rest of the table is black and I've got a glass of water. It's the amount that's
Love
the most
that.
color. But this is the cutest thing. And I keep looking at it. My eye all day has been
Oh,
like going to it. I think that's wonderful.
that's so nice. And I was going to say, there's actually a chapter all about nature, colours of nature in the book. So, and it is literally, it splits into the different types of nature and how they can actually, like, things to do when you're in these different types. So if you're in a snowy situation or a mountainous situation or a forest situation, the different ways to actually get in tune with the colour of these different places. And, you know, if all you do from your entire day, because say you are in a corporate job and you're indoors and you don't see anything during the day, but if you can make an effort to look at the sky at sunset, if you can see it in the morning sunrise, a bit of natural colour, then that also would be a wonderful thing that you could do, just to take those 2 minutes. It's a little bit of me time, it's a little bit of a screen break, it's a break from whatever you're doing, and just take in those colours. That will also give you a wonderful sort of grounding for the rest of the day. And it's something that I really try and do. In the winter, it's so much more easy, because in the winter you can actually see sunset and sunrise very easily, both on the same day, because your sunrise can be like at 8 a.m, so it's not difficult to see. And then 4 o'clock, you know, I have done various office jobs where there's no way I can see the sunset, but that's when I will take the coffee break. That's when I'll go and make the cup of tea
Yeah.
at that 10 to 4, whatever it is, to go and look outside the window, just take that breather, look at the sky, take in those colours, and then reset. And if you can do that in real nature, if you can go to the park at lunchtimes, if you can do something like that, if you've got water near you, it's wonderful. But the nature is filled with just incredible colour.
Absolutely. So I think, I mean, is it fair to say that your life has, since you've, I guess, maybe written the book, maybe done more crafts, your life has become more colorful in terms of being more enriching? Would that be a fair assumption to make?
Definitely. But I think it's also down to me actually, I guess, going freelance and doing things for myself, because I have done various jobs throughout the years, and I have to say I always felt, whatever job I was doing, I always felt that sort of glass ceiling in place. I always knew I can do more than what these people are expecting of me, or what they'll allow me to do. And by choosing to do something that I want to do, by creating my own job title, writing my own job description, and actually saying, actually, that's what I want to do. That's part of it, because I've kind of designed what I'm doing to be what I want to do. It is possible, I have to say, not just working for yourself, you can do this in jobs, because when I was at this wedding magazine, I started as a kind of junior writer, then I went to features writer, then I went to website editor, but I found that I was doing so much more than my job title. And I actually put together all my that this is what I do, this is what I can do, this is what I want to do. And I set a meeting with the bosses and I said, look, I want to be editorial director. And I just said to them, this is the job title I want, and this is why I want it, and this is how I'm backing up that I can have that title. And they went for it straight away. It wasn't like I was quite, I was nervous to have this meeting, but they did actually say, yeah. And I think that if you can actually decide, so I kind of in some ways rewrote my job description there as well, but I've done that for myself too. It's like, okay, I'm going to be a color expert. What is my day to day going to be like? What do I want to do? What are my specialism areas? And because I've had a say in that, that's what's making me so much happier, because I've set those kind of boundaries about what I want to do. And it's like, I can do all the things that these other jobs were kind of stopping me, where they were like, I knew I could do more management, I could do more organizing, I could actually like have the ideas and run with them. But when you're in a team, you can't always do that. But when you can, there's no limits to when you're sort of doing something yourself. It's literally no limits. So you've decided to do your retreats. That's very different to what you're doing when you first went into this, but you know that you can do those things. Like, you know exactly how you want it, and being able to do that, I think that is like, is such an uplifting thing. It's a real freedom, control. It's like totally everything you're doing is you, and that feeling, it just can't be achieved in any other way. So, you know, that is the real motivation for me.
I was nodding emphatically and smiling emphatically as you were speaking, because all the key message I was hearing was, I'm doing what I want. I'm doing what brings me joy. I'm following my joy. I'm following what's going to give me happiness. What do I want? And in a coaching relationship, one of the first questions I ask a client is, what do you want? You've just told me all the things you don't want and that you're not happy with. So tell me what you do want. And I appreciate it's a difficult question if you've not asked yourself that question for, since you were a kid. And that it does stump a lot of people as to, what do I want? And then, I get really granular about it. So they might say, I just want a good job and I wanted this and I wanted that. So, but do you really want the good job? Do you want a job that pays the bills? But what would make it fulfilling? What would bring you joy in it? Do you like the office environment? Do you like commuting? And you start unpicking, and just like you did, writing the job description. I actually feel like I might steal that as a tool. That's a fantastic tool. Writing your job description, your own job description for what you do. But I have to say, like, when we met, so I was in PR at the time, and you were the editorial director of the magazine, and it was a luxury magazine. It was a beautiful magazine. And I was, when I met you, I was surprised, because the last few people that I'd spoken to at glossy magazines or met at glossy magazines, looked the same as each other. They didn't necessarily distinguish themselves. It was all very Prada bags and, the look, right, in inverted commas. So they're not really memorable. But I met you and it was just vibrancy, and it filled me, with those feelings of vibrancy too, and energy and excitement. I was like, yeah, let's come on this trip. Like, this will be fun. You're exuding an energy that would make this trip even more special. And it was one of the key drawings, and it was because you were being we talk about it so much now, you see it everywhere, be your authentic self. But even within the corporate confines, let's say, I say that loosely, but corporate confines, you didn't feel the need to succumb to what everybody else was doing. You still brought that part of you that was so important, your life in color, to yourself and to how you were meeting people. And it was it was such a breath of fresh air, obviously, at that time. Now I feel everyone's gone a bit extreme, and now it's a bit too much. It's like, okay, I am my most authentic self if I can scream the loudest. But I just find it fascinating. How did you manage that? How were you able to navigate that sort of corporate confines almost, and also be your true self, bring yourself to the table all the time?
I often look at things like as an outsider, like looking in. So, I feel that I'm a really good public speaker. But one of the reasons I think I'm a good public speaker is I've watched so many other people speak, and I've kind of looked at it and I've been like, what's good about it, what isn't, what could I kind of do? So I'm kind of always observing things and actually picking up on how I could be better and how I could do things. And that's in a lot of scenarios, I'll just be kind of observing and watching and thinking, oh, I would do it like this, or I would do it like that. And that's how I kind of started to realize, actually, I could do these things. So the book I've just had to come out is my third book. But when I wrote my first book, I was working at a craft magazine at the time, and I would be sent craft books, like 10 craft books a day, whatever the topic is. I'd be, whatever it is, I was getting other people's books, and I would look at them and I'd be like, yeah, this is great, but if they can do this, I can do this as well. Like, I can literally, it's just that thing of like, well, hang on, if other people can do something, then I can definitely do it as well. So I just always looked at it more of like, actually, like, how could this kind of happen? And when you do that, you actually start to learn a lot about yourself. I've always been the colourful person, and when I was like a teenager, I did like purple streaks, and it kind of developed from streaks to a whole head and everything. But I did do a lot of like temping jobs, so I did quite a few jobs in the civil service at government departments, and it was always kind of like, on the first day I'd probably go my smartest and by day 2 I would just be like, I would just actually just start to be myself. And the reaction has always been that people have accepted it. And I keep meeting people, I still meet them weekly, where they'll say to me, but I can't dress like that in my work because of this, this, this. But they've not tested the waters, they've not pushed it, they've not tried it to see what the response would be like. Because 9 times out of the 10, people actually like to see, like, you are helping them. If you can actually be slightly more relaxed, you can help them realize that they can be as well. But you know, there was one example I can give you where I didn't be myself. I decided to not be myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to be a television presenter for quite a long time. And my oldest sister is very, she's kind of like a bit of a mother figure in terms of like telling me what I can and can't do. But it's always been that way because she's a lot older than me. And she'd constantly say to me, like, I'll never get a TV presenter job because I've got coloured hair and because of this, that, and the other, and because I'm too strange. And I've got to go neutral in order to get the TV presenter job. So I ended up getting an audition for a really good BBC presenter job, like a full-time presenting job. And I had coloured hair when I applied, and then I got called back for like whatever it is, like 2 auditions, whatever. And then it was getting more serious. And my sister actually gave me a Tony and Guy voucher and told me to go and dye my hair neutral. So I did. I went to the hairdressers and I got my hair dyed to like dark brown, a neutral colour. And I went to this audition and I'd lost all my energy, like I wasn't me at all.
Wow.
And I couldn't think, I just didn't have my spark. And it's because I was trying to be somebody else or trying to fit in someone else's ideal, someone else's mold or the norm. And when I stepped away from there, and obviously I got my rejection, I just knew at that point, I think this was around 2009-ish, I knew at that point, I'm never ever going to do that, to like, you know, that idea of sort of making yourself smaller for somebody else or for something else, because I wasn't confident, I didn't feel right. But that was for me that sort of reminder and that test of why you can't, because, you know, could have been very different if I'd kept my rainbow hair. Maybe I could have still got the job. Maybe my life would be different. Like, who knows? It's not really about that, but it's about me learning that I have to stay true to myself. And ever since then, I've just been like, this is me. And basically, I've had various conversations with TV producers quite a lot, and they'll be like, okay, so if we started filming the show, we often film the ending before the beginning. And so if your hair was like changed color over like 3 months, like it's gonna look really awkward and stuff. So I'm like, okay, so I won't do it. Like, I don't need to do those things because I need to be me. I just literally just need to be me more than anything else. So it's been an interesting way of me sort of like reinforcing that. But 100%, when you are yourself, you are performing your best, you are doing your best work, you are the most confident, you're giving out the most to other people. And so you have to just try it. You just literally have to see what that could look like, what it could be like.
Everything you've just said, I mean, I'm sitting here obviously with my hands under my chin, I'm listening attentively because it's such an inspiring, it's so inspiring to hear someone be true to themselves, to say no to the BBC, you know, whereas so many of us would, you know, like sell our souls to be on the BBC, you know, if we wanted to do something and be people that we weren't. And, you know, there's this, when we sort of grow up, oh, you have to have a degree and you've got to have this kind of job. And then after your job, you've got to find a partner and then you've got to do this and you've got to do this. And we live this really linear life that for those rebels and misfits, as Steve Jobs says, there's a discomfort that comes, you know, you might feel a bit of it in your 20s and then everyone says, oh, it's your 20s. So you ignore it. And then you hit your 30s and it's like, no, something doesn't feel right. And there's, you know, I would say, let's say half of us, is probably a smaller percentage, but let's be generous. Love your mug, by the way. But let's say half of us lean into that and choose to explore what on earth is going on with me. Why am I not enjoying my work? What is it that I want? I can feel I want more. We naturally go towards money, but then we realize, no, it's not the money, there's something else. And then there's that other half of us who doesn't explore and just stays in that, in the work and whatever, whether it brings us happiness or not. But for those of us who do explore and are open, and the way you've done this by asking yourself what you want, writing your job description constantly, like as a constant, for sure, been true to yourself and done what was right for you, reflecting on like that, you know, that going and doing the Tony and Guy voucher and then this isn't me, I can't do this. I mean, it takes so much courage, obviously so much self-awareness, so much courage, and to be who you are. Even just saying this out loud, it sounds ridiculous that I'm saying that it takes so much courage to just be yourself, you know? But how many of us are not being ourselves because we're scared of, like you say, just try it. You haven't pushed the boundary, you know, you haven't put, I don't know, as an example, a brooch on, you know, you work in Tesco and you put a colorful brooch on and you went to work. You haven't tried it to see if that was going to be told that you have to remove it. And I think that's really important, that fear, even with expressing ourselves through color. It's technically such a simple thing, but we're even scared to do that.
You know, it's such an interesting thing because color, everyone has an opinion about it. Like, you do know what colors you like and what colors you don't like. It might not be the top of someone's agenda, but it is there. And you know, a couple of weeks ago I was stuck outside a train station because there was engineering works and they weren't letting anybody onto the train, and I was stuck for 20 minutes outside a closed tube station with hundreds of football fans. Okay, so picture the scene, all these men doing their football chanting. It was Portsmouth fans all doing their whatever they do, and I'm me, this girl, I'm actually wearing a rainbow sequin jacket, literally standing in the middle of all of these men. And after a while, this chap next to me was like, "Oh, I really like your jacket," in a really serious, just "I really like your jacket" way. And then his mate was like, "I really like your jacket as well." And we opened up this conversation. We started chatting about color. And you know, one of the guys actually has admitted to me he was wearing women's trainers because they had a bit of lilac on them, and he liked that lilac color, but he couldn't get that in a men's trainer. And so it was this thing where, like, I just, you know, was talking to these complete strangers I wouldn't normally speak to. They wouldn't normally speak to me. But actually, like, it was amazing that he had tried that. He had decided, "Oh, I'm going to get a women's trainer. No one needs to know, but I'm going to wear it." And it made him, it added something to him. You know, he felt good knowing that he had a bit of lilac on him. And so these choices can be very personal. These little things that we do, that we try out. We don't necessarily need to tell the world, "Oh, I'm actually trying wearing this color, or I'm going to do this today." No one needs to know. It can be very personal, but it will actually make you feel good. And when you're ready, like he felt like he could share his story with me, you know, he probably had, I'm sure, after I chatted to him, because then he started talking about all sorts of other colourful things, and it turned out he's got a bit of synesthesia because he can like actually like smell colours, or you know, these different things that he doesn't normally even tell his friend. So it was kind of like really like quite an amazing moment, but just a realization that color is there. Every single person, whoever you are, whatever your background, whatever your experience, has an opinion about it. And you know, I just find I love that. I love that it is such a, you know, wherever you go in the world, it's this language. It doesn't need to speak to somebody. It just literally can give a message.
One of the first questions we ask people, isn't it, as kids, even dating, it becomes the question, what's your favorite color, you know, in its simplest of terms. And I'm sure I filled out some terrible HR application form that's asked me what my favorite color is, and I've gone, you know, oh, I'll go with my favorite color, which is purple. And then I've thought, no, purple, I bet you is going to be, oh no, she's too airy fairy, she's too optimistic. Let's go for blue, let's go for something simple, let's go for something safe, you know, or red. Oh no, red's too aggressive. And it's funny how we use color, because I've just said to you that my favorite color is purple, but I don't wear a lot of purple. I don't, you know, whether on makeup or clothes, but as a color, it's my, oh, I don't even know how to describe it, but I physically feel it in my body when I see it, like a rich purple velvet color, an amethyst, a beautiful amethyst I can't stop touching, you know. But I don't necessarily need purple all around me to decipher that that is my favorite color. And even when, and this is just a little segue into business and how we choose colors, and to be honest with you, this is where my, I guess, my learning about how profound color actually is all around us was through my marketing work and doing, you know, things like branding, you know, with rebranding companies and logos and learning about all of that process. When I was doing it for my business, I was just drawn to a shade of teal. You know, it was, that was it. There was no other color that I was drawn to except for that in my head and my heart was the color of my business. And I thought nothing of it. I was just like, no, it's a nice color. It's, you know, it feels good. It seems like me. It's not really around my house. It's not going to jar me. And then when the designer fed back to me, she was like, you do realize you've chosen a color that sounds like like literally when I wrote my brand description, like, what do I want my brand to represent? And I had told her the color. I was like, let's be in this spectrum somewhere. Like, I'm going to say the word teal, but it needs to be in between the teal green and the teal blue. So not extreme in either direction. And she found the color and I was like, yes. And she said, and the definition of your color is exactly what you said in your brand statement, which is about, I want you to feel safe and calm and like, I've got you, but also professional. And, you know, like, this is serious work. We're not going to be flouncy. We're going to be serious, even though it might feel a bit flouncy. There's going to be seriousness to it. And I really felt that represented. And the number of compliments I get on my website is insane because I don't even think about it now, right? It's just there, it's out there. And whenever somebody comes to the website, they're like, I really like your website. I'm like, oh, you're seeing my colors. My colors are making you feel a certain way. And it really fills me up.
That's amazing. I absolutely love that. It's incredible. And, you know, I love the way, because there is a lot of intuition at play as well. So, you know, you not knowing that the color meant those things, but actually that's why you were drawn to it, because you did know, but you knew the feeling.
Yes.
That's equally as important as actually knowing science, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point you've just made about knowing the feelings, because we spend, and this is just, you know, a side note with the work that I do, it's, you know, when someone comes to me, we're generally all in our head and we've lost that connection to heart and intuition and trusting ourselves. So it is a really beautiful way to hear that, you know, color is a feeling, it's intuitive. I think that's really something that we can all tap into. Okay, so I think we've pretty much covered everything quite nicely, you know, from the talking points that we were going to cover: clothing, energy, environment, really important places. So what 3 tips would you give to the listeners for helping them to create an extraordinary life through color? What could they do?
Well, the first thing I would say is to actually treat colour and think of colour a bit like your 5 a day. We all know we've got to have 5 a day fruit or vegetables. It's just like, that's just ingrained in us. So apply that to colour, 5 to 10 colours a day. Just kind of be conscious of, are you having enough colour in your day? So if you are somebody who wears, as an example, navy every day, because it's your uniform or it's what you feel comfortable in, it's what most of your work clothes have become, then be conscious of that and try and introduce these other colours somewhere into your day. So I'm not telling you to stop wearing navy. I'm just saying, if you're constantly surrounded by navy energy, you're only getting the energy of that colour. You're missing out on the soothing, relaxing properties of pink if you have no pink in your life. If you don't have any green in your life, you're missing out on its very calming, balancing properties. So try and consume different colours every day to make sure that you have a much more sort of well-rounded experience. So that's super, super important. Another bit of colour advice I can definitely give is, we have touched on nature, but outside of what I said about trying to get these colours, do enjoy colours in nature as often as you can. It is the most just like refreshing thing. It will clear your head, and it's such a change to anything else that you're doing.
Mm.
It's so powerful. And so, you
I
know,
also tell people to touch it, like touch the plant, touch the leaf, touch the tree, touch the stinging nettle, almost not the nettles, but like, you know, on like a blackberry bush, touch them, because the last time we touched them, we probably just, you know, hurt ourselves. But now you can consciously touch and see like how nature is protecting itself and everything.
because, you know, the human eye can see more colours of green than any other colour.
Mm.
There's more greens around that, you know, we can see. So if you're looking at a leaf, it's literally like, it's not just green, it's probably got at least 10 shades of green within one leaf. So that's like a sort of mindful activity you can literally do, is to stop and look and observe and just take note. Oh, I can see that color and that color, and that's just a little moment away from it and all your other stresses. Just like I've just, you know, just done that. And the other thing I'll say is to be open to color, to not think about any rules you've heard. So if someone said to you at a makeup counter, oh, maroon doesn't suit your skin tone, you shouldn't wear that. If someone else has said to you, oh, you've got ginger hair, so you shouldn't wear an orange lipstick, or anything else that someone said to you, red or green shouldn't be seen, any of these kind of rules you've heard, put them to one side and just approach things with this idea of the intuition again, like what are you led to? Would you like to have? And think of it more in terms of you and what you like and what makes you feel good. And that's a bit of a sort of like, it is a bit of a mindset change in how you just think about things and try things. But this idea of being open to color is I think is really powerful. And I actually, when I have these 7 sort of points, my manifesto, my book, my beliefs, that's the first one, is actually like, be open to color. And it is trying these things, it is switching things up, it's changing things, it's experimenting, it's trying things. And if you don't like them, that's brilliant, you know. If you do like them, you've literally opened up a whole new bit of your life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, just without going off too much on a tangent, but I've been recently talking to my son about, you know, color doesn't have a gender, because, you know, every now and again he's coming home and telling me, oh, mummy, blue is for boys and pink is for girls. And he knows what I'm like. I'm very direct. I'm like, who said that? I didn't tell you that. And he's like, no. I said, so who told you that? And he said, well, that's what they're saying at school. And I'm like, do you like the color blue? He said, yes. And I said, do you like the color pink? Yes. Right then, that's it. That's it. If you like it, you like it. There is no gender in color. And I mean, I know this is very patriarchy and capitalism and separation and so much, you know, political that's involved in color, like with your footballer guy who loves the color lilac but had to buy women's trainers. Like, even the brands are doing silly things like that. And I've just realized that a couple of days ago I saw on Facebook, a friend of mine, he's obsessed with trainers, and he put a post up on Instagram saying it's a matchy kind of day. So he and his wife were wearing the same trainers, and they were purple and hot pink, like a hot purple and a hot pink colorway. And I was just like, I just love that. You know, it was just a beautiful little moment. And, you know, he's in his 40s and he's embracing it in a way to sort of like break that kind of gender barrier with regards to color, which obviously you and I find so frustrating. But it's still quite a bit of work to do to try and undo that.
Yeah.
Do you come across people like that a lot in when you're talking about color, that are like, oh no, I could never wear that color?
I definitely hear that, you know, I couldn't wear that. And that is actually definitely ingrained into sort of cultural upbringings and things we've heard, or things we've kind of seen, or we think we've heard, in terms of colours going together, or, you know, certain colour rules and how you should do things. I definitely do feel for men who want to wear colour, though, because we don't have the choice in menswear. There are definitely, and I have male friends who say they want to wear colour, unless they go into a vintage shop and they don't necessarily want vintage style. They're just not going to find colourful things. And I think that's such a shame. And I think it's a massive mistake in terms of sort of marketing fashion industry, because if they did make it more accessible and people could wear more colours if they wanted to, then I just feel like that's how we'll break some of the kind of office expectations or the rules of formality and things, but it has to start with it actually being available. So I do hope that there's going to be more changes. I think things are changing, and to be honest, things like Instagram and the idea of sort of visual living and people seeing the visuals has really had a massive impact on colour. And there are lots of like colourful Instagram accounts who specifically focus on colour, because as a visual medium it's so powerful, and I think that is feeding off into other areas of life. Like, you are getting more colourful wallpapers these days, you are getting a bit more colourful menswear than they used to be, but we can definitely have more. And I would love to see a day where you could go into any shop and this idea of like the coloured trainers, that, you know, men's and women's trainers are both available in every shade of the rainbow, because that's just how it is. It's not just like, oh, the women's might have a red shoe but the men's are all black, white, black, white, black, white, brown, and they should be having these other colors as well.
Absolutely. Maybe that's you know, the next step in your journey. Who knows? Momtaz, thank you so much for today. This was such an inspiring chat. I feel like I've gotten so much more insight into color now, and I'm looking around my living room going, oh, I've done good in a couple of places, you know, and I feel the color change because I went for color this time, and I think there's a lot there. And I love how you yourself have consistently stayed true to yourself. I think for me that's such a heartwarming experience to hear about. It really is. So kudos to you for that.
Thank you so much, Pooja, and I really appreciate, you know, your kind words throughout as well. And it's interesting the observations that other people make, because some of the things you said, like, I haven't even noticed, but actually I'm busy being me to notice these things. But I'm pleased that you have noticed that, you know, it is a consistent thing, and it's just kind of like, it's just, you know, it is the way. And I honestly feel like color is the way for so many things. You know, I called my book Finding Happiness in Color, Hello Hue, Finding Happiness in Color. I genuinely believe that with more colour, people appreciating more colour, more having more colour in life, they will be happier. If more people are happier and uplifted, you know, the world will be a sort of happier place. This is a very romantic vision, but it's one that I fully believe in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.